guessing on this, but if you were to try to quickly name 10 women of the Bible earlier this week, my hunch is that Shiprah and Puah would not be two that would pop to your mind. But I hope that changes as we remember our text today, because these two mischievous midwives show us what it means to live bravely into faith. They literally give life to the oppressed by standing up boldly against the powers that be. In this summer's Women of the Bible series, we've remembered the stories of several women whose names appear in the genealogy of King David and Jesus. Shiprah and Puah are not part of that list. Rather, we come to know these women apart from their own children, other than a very brief mention that they have children of their own. Over the next 13 chapters of Exodus, under God's directives, Moses will lead the people out of enslavement by Pharaoh, through the Red Sea, narrowly avoiding the chariots chasing them, that story that we have heard time and time again. But all of that is yet to come. First, a new Egyptian king gets nervous. He realizes that the people he's exploiting will one day rise up, and he doesn't want to be outnumbered lest the Hebrews join forces with some enemy to overtake the Egyptians. So he cruelly employs infanticide as a tool of further oppression, ordering Shiprah and Puah to kill Hebrew boys as soon as they are delivered. The women whose job in this world is to usher in life are being commanded to do the very opposite. Fortunately for Moses and so many other Hebrew boys, Shiprah and Puah fear God more than they fear Pharaoh. So they disobey. Surely they had to know with each birth, with each delivery, that eventually Pharaoh would find out. Surely they had to know that each time a little one cried, breathing in those first deep breaths outside the womb, that this news of new life could not be contained within the community forever. Their bravery was not just in a single act, but was called for time and time again. And each time, they chose to go against the orders of the most powerful person among them. Each time, they chose to honor God and what they believed to be good in God's sight, even if it put them at great risk when Pharaoh would one day find out that they were intentionally disobeying his orders. Or would he find that out? Now, maybe it was their plan all along, or perhaps Shiprah and Puah were just quick-witted and fast on their feet. That would make sense given the requirements of their profession. But either way, when Pharaoh interrogates them about all these little boys making it out alive past that initial delivery, the midwives tell Pharaoh that Hebrew women are just so vigorous that they give birth all on their own before anyone arrives. No assistance needed. This part of the story contains a delightful hint of suggestion that this Pharaoh is none too bright. Outfoxed by women of the servant class. Despite his education, they easily outwit him in the retelling. Even still, the directive remains. Baby boys are to be tossed in the Nile River upon birth because Pharaoh fears an eventual uprising. As Dr. David Lowes points out, ironically, it is the girls who are apparently of no account to Pharaoh that he should fear, as it is first these two women, and then three more, Moses' Hebrew mother and sister, and Pharaoh's Egyptian daughter, who are his undoing. Moses makes it beyond delivery alive thanks to the midwife's courage, and his mother bravely nurses him for a few months until she feels she cannot keep him safely hidden at home any longer. She sets him in a basket near the river, tucked behind some weeds. Now, the word for basket that is used here is also a word that is used to refer to the ark later in the story of Noah, which implies that this basket is intended as one that will not sink, keeping him safe. Maybe his mother, whose name we later learn in Numbers is Jochebed, maybe she puts the basket there so that if confronted, she can say that she followed the directions to put the baby in the river, sort of that intent of the law thing, even if she leaves him on perfectly dry riverbed. Maybe she's planning to go back and care for him each day. We don't know for certain, but we do know that she too disobeys the order to throw her son into the river. And then Pharaoh's daughter finds him when heading down to the river to bathe. Miriam, Moses' sister, whose name we learn later on in Exodus, she watches the whole thing transpire at a distance. What might she have been thinking, I wonder, watching her own mother leave her little brother by the river in a basket? Does she know the heartache that goes into that decision? She must be old enough to understand, at least to some degree, the reasoning for this moment, because when she realizes that Pharaoh's daughter has told her maid to bring the baby to her, Miriam steps up to the plate. She speaks as a child to an adult who is in a position of power by virtue of her household. That is a bold action in and of itself. Can you imagine how her mother must have felt in this instance were she to catch a glimpse of the exchange taking place across the river? No, Miriam, not you too. I'm already trying not to lose one child to the river, and now you endanger yourself by speaking unprompted to Pharaoh's daughter? What will become of you next? Will you be punished for such boldness? Shall I weep for 2 children instead of 1? Imagine Jochebed's elation to discover that Miriam's boldness of action has not only saved Moses' life, but will allow her to raise her own son. A gift that so many of her friends would never know at that time, a gruesome infanticide. Miriam offers to Pharaoh's daughter to find a nurse for the child, a nurse who is no other than her own mama. Though we do not know her name, Pharaoh's daughter joins in on all this overwhelming bravery when she chooses the way of compassion, seeking to pay a nurse to care for her soon-to-be adopted baby boy. Her own father has given the decree for all of these killings, and yet she will join in the disobedience of the Hebrew women and the midwives. But unlike them, who have a chance to keep it under wraps, she must somehow convince her father to soften to her wish to raise Moses as her own. Now maybe she pays Moses' mother to buy herself some more time to figure out how to convince her father to allow this. We've seen that one play out, right? Maybe she needs some time to devise a plan for her proposal to bring this young Hebrew boy into her household, and then P.S. to convince Pharaoh to pay for his education. Whatever she comes up with in this period while Jochebed is taking care of Moses off-site, it works. Somehow, Moses makes it to adulthood, safely living under the continued care of Pharaoh's daughter. Shiprah, Puah, Jochebed, Miriam, and finally Pharaoh's daughter serve as inspiration in the face of a brutal patriarchal regime. Each of them breaks from the chain of command in their own way. Each faces the consequences of their decisions, and each considers those consequences and opts for doing what is right over what seems prudent. Each of these women make decisions that will eventually allow for and lead into the freedom of God's covenant people. And each one could not have known in their decisions of defiance that from those choices, a leader would emerge who would be chosen by God, and the people would one day walk free. Moses will stand up to Pharaoh, in part because of the work of these women. He had rebellious women as his first role models. Thanks be to God for that blessing. I know some of you are sitting on an amen for that. for his own acts of defiance in the face of tyranny. Every simple choice, every next right action can lead into something mighty one day down the line, perhaps too far away for us to see it. Author Andy Andrews says that in 1963, a man named Edward Lorenz made a presentation to the New York Academy of Sciences and was literally laughed out of the room. His theory, called the butterfly effect, stated that a butterfly could flap its wings and set air molecules in motion that in turn would move other air molecules, which would then move additional air molecules. You can guess what happens next. Eventually, becoming able to influence weather patterns on the other side of the planet. For years, this theory remained little more than an intriguing theory. But in the mid-1990s, physics professors from several universities working in tandem proved that the butterfly effect was accurate, viable, and worked every time. In his book, Andrews looks at this butterfly effect in terms of historical life events and highlights the ways in which each major event is preceded by smaller choices and smaller actions. And when the event is examined in order, each after each, you can never really tell which efforts made the biggest difference. Andrews points out how interconnected our actions are, creating an unforeseen butterfly effect that can ripple across time and space to affect the lives of millions. We can see this in our narrative tonight, just as we can see this in the course of our lives. We may not always be able to determine which gentle flap of a butterfly wing leads into a mighty rushing wind one day, but we can live with the awareness that every small action can play a part in a story much larger than our own. Take, for example, the donations of many sitting in this room right now to Emmanuel's endowment fund. One of this year's endowment grants is going toward the education of a young woman in Zambia who is studying nursing and training to be a midwife. Training to be a midwife in a village that truly needs a midwife. Who, I wonder, might be ushered into the world with the care of her mind and her hands? Who, I wonder, will not only survive childbirth but thrive because of the care that she receives at that moment? What stories will be written in this world as a result? And who here, in the act of giving, thought at the time that children across the ocean would one day be welcomed into the world by trained, caring hands as a result of that gift? Or take the story of Keela Bailey. Keela is the daughter of a friend of mine from Kentucky, and one Christmas several years ago, Keela told her mother that she didn't want Christmas presents that year. Hear that again, she didn't want Christmas presents that year. Instead, she wanted to raise money and gather supplies to donate to the Bowling Green and Warren County Humane Society, the local no-kill shelter. Keela was 11 years old at the time. So her mom started a Facebook page and sent the link to everyone that she could think of, friends, family, co-workers, neighbors. If she'd ever met you, you got an invitation. And they too shared and donated until Keela's dream came true. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars and donations poured in celebration of Keela, in honor of Christmas. And before long, Keela was pictured on the front page of the Bowling Green Daily News, and her story spread. More and more children started asking at their birthday parties and other celebrations to give up their own gifts to collect donations for the shelter. You can go onto their Facebook page now in just about any month and see time and time again smiling children surrounded by donations that they have gathered in from these events. Keela's spirit of joy and generosity in caring for God's creatures spread to such a degree that at 11 years old, she was honored by the Senate of the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The resolution states that this honorable body rightfully commends the children of this Commonwealth who are so special that they become influential not only to their peers, but to the adults around them as well. And with her indelible kindness and good heart, there is little doubt that Kila will continue to be a positive influence to every human and animal that she meets. Kila's Christmas wish was still going strong last Christmas, now benefiting an additional shelter in Louisville as well. And I wonder what might happen down the road as a result of the Parable of the Talents project that 15 Emmanuel children are participating in. Who might be impacted by their gifts or their example? And how will they be shaped and changed by the people they meet along the way? We will not all be commended in this life when we seek to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with God. Even when those small choices in our lives snowball into something contagious and profound. And we can't even know to expect how our actions might influence or impact those around us day in and day out. But we can trust that our actions will have an impact, for better or for worse, on the people around us every day. So why not strive to live less out of habit and more out of intent? Pharaoh's daughter gave the name Moses to the baby boy that she found next to the Nile. Moses, which means to draw out, as in to draw out of the water. Later, God would draw Moses and the people out of waters into safety, but would not do the same for the Egyptians in hot pursuit. Later still, with God's instruction, Moses would draw water out of a rock by tapping his staff against it when the people were thirsty in the desert. As Dr. Lowe's puts it, all of this starts here with today's text, which tells us that Shiprah and Puah were willing to say no to an act of injustice. I doubt very much that they thought they were changing the world, but they were, just by being faithful, by following the dictates of their hearts, by heeding the call of conscience. With God's help, may we be brave enough to do the same. To God be the glory, now and forevermore.